in politics, you used to have this entire controversy around conflict of interest. And finally, most political parties in India came out with this one party, one post sort of system. But it seems as if Indian cricket has not learned that lesson yet.
No, I don't think they will even learn it now. Even though a lot of people will say Shashank Manohar, he's clean. He's a guy who works on principles. He's a guy who understands the meaning of transparency. Let's put it that way. But how long is he going to stay? 4 years, 5 years? Will he get 2 terms? I don't know. If he gets 2 terms, that's okay. That's 8 years. But beyond that, what's going to happen? They'll again revert back to the same. Conflict of interest in Indian sport, take cricket out of it for the time being, is like a disease. You are president of athletics, you're president of the Olympics, you're president of some other federation, you're president of your state association. This is all happens and nobody knows about it because nobody understands what's happening in other sport. In cricket, it was happening all the time, and now it's come up suddenly because there have been a few spot fixing, match fixing, and okay, let's clean up the house kind of a thing that happened with Shashank coming in. And that's why probably now what we are seeing, I hope it stays. That's all I hope.
So there have been allegations of conflict of interest in the past. You've got Stuart Binney and Roger Binney selecting his son, or stepping out of the room when his name gets called, whatever that means. You've also had Anil Kumble, right, in Karnataka, Ravi Shastri, and in the past, of course, a lot of allegations about Dhoni himself. What is conflict of interest with regard to Indian cricket? When does it actually become applicable? Is it monetary interest or is it some other sort of interest?
I think anything in sport, anything in cricket is monetary interest, first of all. But the simple formula, the simple rule is if you got one chair, stick to that one chair. You can't be playing musical chairs with you alone in the sport. You got 6 chairs and they keep revolving the whole chairs among themselves. Hirwani, what a good thing about Hirwani was that he was president or the chief selector of the MP cricket state team. He has eased himself out just after all of this happened because his son is playing Ranji. But what beats me is like when you ask about Stuart, what you ask about Anil Kumble. Now these guys are intelligent. Roger Binney was one of the most intelligent pace bowlers, though he never had that pace. But he had wonderful swing. But that swing, he's probably carried it over to his selection days now, My point was that if you're part of the selection committee and your son is part of the Indian team, how can you not see it? Any intelligent person in anywhere in this world will see the conflict of interest. Anil Kumble is president of the Karnataka state team, or let's say the board. And he's also part of a private company that mentors upcoming talented cricketers. Now, isn't there a conflict of interest? Do I have to tell Mr. Anil Kumble, you were supposedly the most intelligent spin bowler India has ever had because you didn't have too much spin, but yet you took those kind of wickets, which means that you were intelligent as a bowler. Why can't you see this conflict of interest? Did Shashank Manohar have to come in, become president to clean up the sport that you saw it, and then you deny it also and say, no, I can't see the conflict of interest because there is no commercial value. Doesn't need to have commercial value always. It also can be, if you are part of the state board, you cannot, your company or a company that you are invested in can't be mentoring cricketers at the same time. I think somebody needs to tell them.
I think they understand. But coming back to your point about Shashank Manohar, do you think that he's been just brought in to clear up things which Mr. Srinivasan did, or is it just a lot of finger pointing at Srinivasan?
The interesting bit is all these guys, they pointed fingers at Srinivasan while being in the board. Whether it was Ravi Shastri, who may have said, or probably didn't say it openly, whether it was Kumble, all of them have been under the same president, the same secretaries, and now they're saying that there was no conflict of interest. And what happens is Srinivasan gets sacked rightfully and thrown out of the board. But these guys are all there. I think Shashank was brought in to clean up because the image was taking a battering. Leave the sport alone. The image was taking a battering. Indian cricket was being laughed at because you're doing the IPL, there's spot fixing and there's match fixing also. Match fixing, a lot of people might have said was dead. But when you have owners coming into doing spot fixing, my problem or my issue is that you probably also match fixing with a few players. I think for that reason alone and for the IPL thing, Shashank was brought in to clean up the sport. Whether he's cleaned it up, whether this is going to remain long term, whether this is a permanent thing that we are seeing, I really don't know.